All right. Welcome everyone to the first stream since what felt like forever. If you've read the title, you must have seen that we are installing a flex bed system. You can see that thing in the thumbnail. I've obviously already unboxed it. On the CR-10. The CR-10 is, this is the original CR-10, the CR-10. It's not the CR-10S. It's not, any of the upgraded versions. And I've actually just realized that this bed is like super wobbly and super loose. But yeah, we can try and fix that. It should be fairly easy to adjust. So today's stream is kind of a test run. I've changed a few things around. With colors are going to look different, and audio should sound a bit different, and things should be different because I do want to get back into streaming, and this is kind of like my push towards getting this stuff back established. Okay, so let's jump in this. So you must have seen the title and the thumbnail and everything. This is the Wham Bam flex plate system. I'm sure that there's some cultural reference going on with Wham Bam, which I do not understand, but I'm sure chat can fill me in there. Yeah, yesterday I was at Make Munich. I saw a bunch of awesome stuff. I got my mind blown a few times, but that's gonna come out next week. So here we go. Wham Bam. First of all, this thing came in this plastic bag. You must have seen these if you ever ordered anything larger from China. These are kind of like the typical Chinese shipping bags. And in fact, this one was shipped to me directly from China. This is from Lai Mao, Li Kanming from Shenzhen. I don't know if every single Wham Bam flex plate thing is shipping from China, but I'm assuming this might be just because I'm getting like a review sample or an early sample. This thing used to be a Kickstarter and it's now in production. You can buy these off the shelf, which is always one of the things I try to keep. Well, one of the things I look for when I test a product and when I accept something for trying out on this channel. I don't want to do preview or pre-release stuff. So this shipped from China. It's designed in Florida, so it's a Floridian. That's a word, right? So it's a Floridian company, guy, designer that is making this thing. So this is the 300 by 300 millimeter size, which obviously fits on the CR-10. So comes in this box, and it's kind of like the Prusa system. I've already taken this apart, so it's not quite authentic. It comes wrapped with this cling wrap. So outer shell, then you have all this wrapping that has like these cardboard spacers that you can see are quite a bit larger than the actual box. So it's drop protected and everything. There we go. These can go away. This one as well. So this is the Wham Bam 310 by 310 millimeter system. And obviously that should be the perfect size. They also make it in 165, 210, 235, 310, 410, and 510. 510 millimeters. So that fits all the different CR-10 sizes. Thanks for asking, Maker Wayne, would this work on Dolly? And I'm very sure that the 210 millimeter version fits on all the standard Prusa Mark II and Mark IIS and all those standard PCB beds as well. Okay, instructions. So yeah, I've taken this apart because I really didn't know how this was going to be installed. We do have instructions, and here are the aluminum strips that I was missing. This is something that you're supposed to also get. So these are shims, I guess. Let's see, let's try to read some instructions today, shall we? But basically, here we go. This is what you get. So let's start from the bottom. And now we're here. So you get this big old flexible, I guess this is like a flexible magnet sheet with the 3M tape on the back. So this is the 3M 468 something. Camera, please. There we go. 468 MP. This is kind of the standard sticky tape that you see on PEI sheets and all that you stick onto stuff. So that fits on the bed directly. And that's a perfect fit. All right. This fits on the bed directly. And then you have the spring steel sheet that goes on top of this. And this is, it's kind of bowed in the center, which is kind of weird. Also, edges kind of sharp. I'm not sure how these are made, whether these are stamped, but they feel really nice and springy. They don't, or at least this one doesn't seem to bend. So yeah, but with the edges, you do have to kind of be careful because they do have fairly sharp edges, and when unboxing it, I tried whether I could cut myself by just rubbing my thumb over it, and it does dig into your skin a bit. So maybe take some sandpaper to the edges and kind of, just round them over, because that's not something that seems to be done during manufacturing. And also compared to the Prusa coated sheets, of course, this is just bare spring steel. There's nothing on this yet. And in fact, what you put on this is this stuff. So looks like PEI, but it's not PEI. So what they are calling it is PEX. So if you're familiar with construction work, PEX is PEX is it's not something that a lot of stuff is gonna stick to. So I'm thinking the PEX, because they're calling it like the most, wow, the GH5 is really struggling there. This is supposedly more temperature resistant than PEI and the polycarbonate surfaces that are, something like Build-Tack. So yeah, not sure what exactly this is. Let's see, we can peel off the protective film here and just give it a feel. I mean, it feels a lot like PEI. It does have a raised lettering on here, so if you actually print over this area right there, that's going to show through on your prints. But it feels a lot like PEI. Not sure what exactly this material is, but it's rather cheap. So let's touch on price real quick. All the parts you see here, so you get the mag sheet, you get the spring steel, and you get the PEX, as well as aluminum shims. I'm going to have to actually look up what these are for. This, for this size, is $89 US. I think that is plus shipping, but $89 for this set, which sounds reasonable actually. The most expensive bit here, I'm sure, is this flex magnet stuff. This stuff I know is not cheap, especially if you do the high temperature versions. This supposedly stands up to bed temperatures, any reasonable bed temperature. This stuff is supposedly to keep its magnetism, and of course there are different grades that will stop being magnetic and actually permanently lose their magnetism at different temperatures. So yeah, you can get the PX for $13 for this size if you want to spare. You can also get like different kits where it's the one mag base and you get additional flex plates and PX sheets or covers. Of course, you can stick Build-Tack onto these. You can do it double-sided. You can use both sides. That's going to shim up this bed a slight bit, but yeah, that's what you get. By default, you have one bed, one sticker, but of course you can put anything else on it. In fact, let's actually try. Let's grab a Prusa. This is the stickered Prusa sheet. Looks like the PEI from Prusa is a bit of a different color, and of course it does stick to it pretty well. So this, yeah, it definitely is compatible. Of course, with the P, wow, okay, that's interesting. Might just be the size because this is a shorter lever, but the Prusa spring steel bed actually feels a lot stiffer, quite a lot stiffer compared to this larger one. This is almost kind of a floppy surface, and this is way more rigid. Some of you in chat were asking about whether this is going to stay flat over time, and the thing is, it doesn't matter whether this is flat or not. It also doesn't matter that this is flexible. Well, it does kind of matter. But the base of your bed is going to provide the flatness and rigidity, and that's kind of what matters. With the CR-10, of course, you get, where is it? There we go. Nope, that way. You get the aluminum base, and that is also the heated bed directly, so the traces are directly on the bottom here. You get the aluminum bed and then the glass on top, and the idea is you can remove the glass and just use the aluminum base and stick all this stuff on top, and the aluminum is going to provide the flatness. And I think that should work. I do believe that you should probably be using this with a probe system, and the cool thing is because it's steel, because it's not glass, you can actually use this with a cheap inductive probe. So that's a big upside of having a flex bed versus glass. And of course, the idea with a flex bed is, first of all, you have replaceable print surfaces. So you do a print, you're done with it, you want to let it cool down or whatever. You take one out, you plop in another one. That's one advantage. The other one is also you can bend this and you can pop your prints off without having to spudger it off or use a chisel or do some other nasty stuff to your print to remove it. So that's what the flex bed is supposed to be really good at. Again, I'm kind of fascinated how flexible it is. Someone was asking how thick is it compared to the Prusa bed, and I can actually not tell what the steel is in here and what is the coating, but it doesn't look that dissimilar. So for thicknesses, before we start installing it, real quick breakdown of this. So we have the base magnetic bed. This looks to be about 1 millimeter thick, maybe a bit more with the adhesive on the bottom. Then we have the steel. I think this is a 0.8 millimeter steel sheet. I guess if I show you the other edge, I guess I can't really show thicknesses like that. This is like a 0.8 millimeter steel sheet, and then the PEI on top looks like it's 0.8 in total with the adhesive. So it's probably like a 0.6 or 0.5 millimeter. Sorry, it's not PEI, it's PEX. Yeah, so it's, if you compare it to the thickness of the glass that's on the CR-10, wow, zoom lenses, am I right? Zoom lenses and no autofocus, fascinating combination. Yeah, let's see. Okay, this is kind of hard to wrestle with because everything is magnetically sticking together. Let's see, if we hold it up to, or put it on top here, I guess that gives a nicer comparison. There we go. And G85, please. Please. No, it's telling me it's in focus, but it's not. There we go. So you can kind of see, so the CR-10 glass, I believe, is 4 millimeters. You can kind of see how that stacks up. It's quite a bit thinner. It's like 3 in total. So it's, if you replace glass with this stuff, it's definitely not going to take away from your usable print height. All right, let's check the instructions, shall we? All right, mounting instructions. Video is available. I don't think I'm actually going to be... the top camera isn't 4K, so you guys can probably not read this. But let's see. You remove any prior plastic or glass build surface from a heated bed. Okay, let's actually start with it. Let's go step by step. Glass won't flex much at all. Yes, we can actually do a quick comparison of how much glass flexes versus how much the flex bed flexes. So here's the original glass from the CR-10, and you can see it doesn't actually flex at all. If anything, it's gonna crack. And here is the spring steel sheet. It bends quite a lot. Cool. I don't know if that is any good. Okay. Your bed surface should be completely clean, smooth, and flat. Check flatness. Using a good quality steel ruler on edge and laid in every direction against the bed with eyes at the same level. Okay, so basically you're supposed to put a flat object onto the surface and kind of check it. Well, okay. Looks flat enough. Looks flat enough to me. Okay, done. As you will be covering a full bed surface and possibly bed leveling screws, take the time to lock your screws in place using a counter nut or Loctite. So basically, because can I show you this? Yeah, because the CR-10, for example, has screw heads up here. If these ever turn in the aluminum, so if these get loose and kind of spin freely, you're gonna have a rough time. So the instructions say you should probably put some Loctite in here. I think it, let me see. I think we could actually, if I ever need to get back at these screws, I could just take a cutter and cut a small hole where that screw head is. It should be visible through the flex plate, so that's okay. If no gaps, proceed. If there are gaps, okay, so that's what these aluminum shims are for. If you do find little low spots, I guess, on the bed, these are shims. How large, how thick are these? Not sure, But these are provided so if you have a slightly bowed bed, you can put them on one side and then sticker the flex, the magnetic base over it. And then if you put your flex plate back on it, it should be flat-ish. It's probably not going to be perfect, but okay. But probably an auto-leveling sensor at these bed sizes does make a lot of sense. Stick the bed, okay. So basically apply just like any other sticky tape. Remove protective film of the top of the PEX build surface. Prepare the PEX build surface sheet surface using 000 steel wool and isopropyl alcohol. That's interesting. That's the first time I've ever had to actually prepare a bed topping by scuffing it up. That's interesting. So let me see. There's stickers over here. So you do get 2 stickers with this. Wham Bam, thank you, in blue and red. So I guess that is the reference to whatever that's referencing. So let's actually get started on the flex bed right here. Complicated solution? I don't know. The fact that he can add this onto any surface is kind of nice. All right, what I'm actually going to be doing is I'm going to apply this kind of like I would apply a glass screen protector for a phone. Do I have some tape here? I do have some random tape here. So this is 3M all-weather tape. Where's my trash bin? There we go. So, the problem is I don't have a knife. Maybe I have some tweezers to poke through it. So, oh god, this is, wow. Okay, that's some tough tape. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be creating a hinge on the bottom here. So I'm going to align this kind of properly. This is not according to the instructions, by the way. So there you go. Markus Schremann, guten Abend. Isn't that Stefan's line? I'm going to be creating a hinge right there so that when I flip it up, there we go. When I flip this up, I can peel it off and then just kind of align it with the hinge, and when I drop it back down, it's going to be perfectly aligned. That's the idea. That's the plan. Yeah, no need for tape. I know I'm not taping it down. I'm just taping it down for alignment. You will see in a second, and this is, again, this is not according to the instructions. I'm just, this is what I'm comfortable with. This is the way you would apply, again, a glass screen protector onto a phone. So let me see. So you see what I mean? Now I can peel off the tape and just flip it back down and smoothly squeegee it on here. Probably should lock this in place somehow, but I don't have anything I could do that with. First though, let's clean this off with alcohol, ethanol. It's not isopropyl, this is just a regular ethanol. It won't be perfectly aligned, but it's going to be close enough to perfect as I can reasonably get it. By the way, this video is probably going to be the maximum amount of reviewing I'm going to be doing on this Wham Bam flex plate system, because I don't think there's enough, like, reviewing a steel sheet and a mag base isn't really that it's not enough material for a review, for a full one. So if you guys have any questions about this product, feel free to ask them now, and I'll try to answer them. You always just wing it when you put a screen protector on. Come on, how can I not? Okay, so that edge is already fraying. Cool. There we go. Yeah, I hate screen protectors that are just like ½ millimeter off. That just looks so bad, I think. And it's kind of really frustrating because it's avoidable, right? Okay, so it's going to be a bit closer to that edge. Okay, whatever. Close enough to perfect. Do you have a discount code for Wham Bam? I'm sorry, I do not. Okay. That looks pretty good. So apparently I do need to kind of overshoot because we're a millimeter too far back, but a millimeter is not going to matter much here. Will it be steel wooling? I can try to steel wool it, but I don't think we will need to. But if the print doesn't stick, we can always go back to that. Is that the 3M nightmare that is a is that the 3M adhesive that is a nightmare to get off? Yes. Yes, that is the exact one. It's the one that, Prusa has been using for the PI sheets. Ow! It's the one that Prusa has been using for their PI sheets, and it's kind of like the standard adhesive for silicone beds. So your standard high temp 3D printing adhesive, that's what this stuff is. Okay, so one thing that I'm noticing, and one thing that I've noticed even before kind of putting this on, is there's no, so yes, I see you, Eric, in chat there. He's saying it's not perfectly aligned, but the thing is that because the Prusa bed has these two notches on the back here, and I'm showing for Prusa again, saying how great their products are. The Prusa bed has these two notches in the back, so these kind of slot into a pair of screws on the back of the plate and align the bed. The Wham Bam system does not have anything like that. So aligning the, so with this one you would go, that there are two pins on the back of the Prusas here, you would go like that and it would just snap into place perfectly. With this one you kind of have to get it aligned before you plop it down because you can't really move it around after the fact. So you do need to manually align it when you plop it back down. Just a bit of a nitpick. I guess you could add a bit of an edge on the back here, so you just slide it so you have something sticking up right there and on the back that you can slide it against. So that's not included with the Wham Bam system, but overall it feels like, yeah, this is very solidly held down. You can see how much pressure I'm actually putting on this before it creates a gap, and it does look very nice and smooth. Oh yeah, this is definitely sticking down well. You can hear how much of a smack that is. Cool. So next up, we do need to drop the PEX surface on the flex bed. And again, because this is just a piece of steel, you can use whatever surface you want with this. Because this is a set, I'm going to be using the included PEX, whatever material that actually is, the included PEX surface. But of course, you can put build tack or the knockoff stickers or whatever else you want onto these beds. We need to grab some fresh tape. Robert coming in with $20 super chat, I believe. Is that a super chat? Yeah, it is. Thank you for those. He's been following since he got the Maker Gear Mark II. Damn, that's old, man. Cool. Yeah, glad you're liking the videos. So let me do the same thing here. I will try to at least. If I could pick it up. There you go. This just gets wrapped around here. Again, at one point I almost thought about making a video of how should I, your bed's left front wheel is loose. Yes, I know, I'll fix it in a second. At one point I was thinking about making a video about how you can apply Captain tape onto your bed. Do you guys remember Captain tape? We used to print on that instead of PEI or build tack. Really nasty stuff to apply because it's usually, there we go. God damn it, this is the wrong tape for this. Because it's usually this super thin stuff on a roll, and there's kind of like one hand motion you need to know to perfectly apply it. I guess this is not quite as difficult, but still, you want it on there. So now we have it aligned on the front. Please. Yes, thank you. Now we have it aligned on the front, and you can see it's barely sliding around. And yeah. Alex C from chat, good question there. Do you think they make a size that would fit a MakerBot replicator too? So the MakerBot replicators, I believe, have a non-square bed that is a bit wider than it is deep. I think it's like 15 by 20 centimeters or so. They don't make those. All the sizes they offer are square. So the thing is, you can actually pretty easily trim these things down. So the magnetic base, you can cut this with scissors very much, very easily. You can also trim the PEX sheet with scissors. Also definitely possible. The spring steel sheet, you will be needing something like a cut-off wheel on an angle grinder to actually take off any considerable amount of material. Oh, this is actually, look at that, that is totally clear. So the this stuff is the one that you cannot trim to size easily. You can, again, if you have an angle grinder, if you're comfortable using that, you can use that to trim it down. This IKEA table was not the right choice for this. You can use an angle cutter to trim down this spring steel sheet, but it's going to be a bit harder to do than, I should have cleaned this off, shouldn't I? There's fingerprints on here. It's going to be a bit harder to do than the other parts, which are just, you know, scissors. What's the best PLA now? Mark G, we will get to a bit of a Q&A section once we have a print going on this, because that's going to take about 30 minutes. But right now, PLAs are pretty much all the same now. They're all really good today. So I don't think there is a best PLA, because most of them are actually made by the same company if you really look into it. Watch for air bubbles, yes. This is interesting. So the way this goes on is it doesn't suck itself down like a glass screen protector. Instead, it's kind of leaving some air behind it so we can spudger out any air bubbles. But with any sort of sticker, you always want to go from the center out. So you press down in the center, and you can see it's kind of trying to stick on the sides there. Don't press down there yet, but go from the center and then work yourself out. And if you take something like a credit card after that and really spudger it down, that is going to give you a nice and even surface. Because as is, this is not really sticking down yet. Rocking the Linus Tech Tips look. That guy copied me. I'm sure. I'm not copying Linus. Linus is copying me. Here we go. So, okay. This is interesting. By applying the PEX, well, PEX, it's not PEX, it's not the PEX that pipes are made of. I think I kind of put some stress on this, and now it's bowing. It's wanting to bow more towards one side than the other. Interesting. Let me see if I can find something to spudger it down. There's still a protective film on this, so I can go, oh yeah, here we go. That should work. So, I guess I need something that's a bit more rounded. Yeah, okay, that's just, no, that's just pushing on the edges. Need something a bit more flexible. Piece of wood. Oh yeah, Captain tape. Just because I found some. DigiKey PCB ruler, this should work. Yeah, look at that. That is perfect. Work yourself. Work from the inside out. Again, there's still a protective film on here, so we're not scratching the actual surface. I'm hoping. Yeah, by the way, tragic accident. This is kind of like a super weird hybrid. LG G6, dropped it while biking. The only screen protector I had to keep my fingers from getting cut by the screen was an iPhone XR screen protector. So this is a notchless phone that now has a notched screen protector. Yeah, sorry, this is kind of like the worst of both worlds. So yeah, this is actually working pretty well. You can see that the look here. Let's see. Yeah, up here there's still bubbles in there, but down there there's an even look. There's a bit of a darker look here. So that looks like it's actually going down pretty well. And I'm trying to get as much air out right now as possible, because any air that's still, you know, trapped in here will expand under heat. And if there's like a big bubble in there somewhere, it will actually, you know, try to peel off the sticker from the spring steel. So yeah, just trying to get it as even as possible. Nudelholz, Nudelholz is probably not a good choice there. I'm not sure what is going on here. Is this an actual bubble? Yeah, because the Nudelholz isn't really flexing. Rolling pin, by the way, for those of you wondering. Okay, so this should be good enough for now. I know it's kind of looking pretty jank. So yeah, I'm not sure what happened here. Let's take off the, yeah, there's like a big bubble or something in here. I can probably not peel this back up. Yeah, that's kind of tough to actually apply perfectly. Yeah, and I can't get my fingernail in the gap so that I can take out this bubble. But okay, it's off to the side. It's not in the center. The center is looking pretty good. Okay, and it's looking like, I don't know. So if you look at the cut the bubbles, I don't want to cut into the fresh layer here. So this is like a kind of a big bubble. I don't know how that got in there. But it's also looking like by squeegeeing this out, I'm getting these kind of glue agglomerations here. Yeah, there might have been a better way to apply it. Slowly begin to pull the protective layer. Spread pressure with top hand from center outwards. Yeah, so it's use a credit card. It's pretty much the same thing that that I did actually. So this looks like it's on there. So it's pretty smooth. You can't really feel the bubbles through it. You can see it in the reflections, but should be good. Should have squeegeed it a little bit. The thing is, if you squeegee it while you lay it down, you're going to trap bubbles that are in there. You're going to hard trap them. So when it was laid down, it wasn't sticking all the way. You can see this kind of texture here. So this stuff, there we go. That is still permeable to air, so you can still squeegee this air out. But yeah. And actually, that's a good point from Christopher. Once we turn a heated bed on, this should be pretty good. I mean, this adhesive over time, it's actually going to cure. It's going to turn into a pretty strong adhesive, but the heat might flatten things out and might actually get these tiny bubbles out as well. NLTMW, a rolling pin. The reason why a rolling pin doesn't work is because it's not flexible. So it's just going to put pressure on the edges mostly, unless this thing is perfectly flat, your table is flat and perfectly rigid. It's just not going to be, good. So, don't stab, poke it. Yes, I'm not going to poke this. I'm going to try a print first. Before we can print on this, so it said we should scuff it up, spray the surface with alcohol, then place the sticker. Oh, so basically like squeegeeing with soapy water, but with alcohol. Now this still has quite a bit of rock. Let's fix that before we, let's actually do this. Let's heat up the printer, let's heat up the bed. CR-10 fans, not the best thing in the world. Let's preheat this bed. Can you get a perspective on this? Maybe. There we go. Where is this? Prepare, preheat. I just want to do the bed. That's in control. So, yeah, it's actually smelling like the adhesive. It has a pretty characteristic odor to it. Now, the original CR-10 bed is glass. Again, 4mm piece of glass. Glass is not a material that has a particularly good thermal conductivity. this thing does have the aluminum base sheet, so that's fine. But the thing is, if you have glass on a PCB, PCB also pretty low thermal conductivity. If you have hot spots in your PCB, it will naturally want to heat up more in that one spot. So it's going to be more uneven than you think if you just have like your normal, non-variable heater zone PCB. With a steel sheet can kind of spread those hot spots slightly. It's not going to be as good as an aluminum bed, but it can kind of help with that more so than a piece of glass can. So that is kind of like a tiny point of, well, in the pros of this bed. Is it heating up? Yes, it is. And it's also heating up way faster than glass throughout the material, I'm thinking. Because there's not much out there that would insulate better than glass as a solid material that you could use for this. Automotive tint, I have actually used a 3M window tint that you use like for thermal coating on windows. Or a buddy of mine has used that as a bed coating, and it's actually working pretty darn well. It's like 200 layers of various PTG films stacked on top of each other to do some interference absorption thingies with heat, but still let some visible light through. So those actually also stick pretty well, but any sort of bed sticker is going to be cheaper than using a window tint, an actual heat shield window tint. So let me give you guys a bit of a perspective of what I'm doing here. Do they recommend to set a temperature offset for the bed to compensate for the differential? Good question, Brian. The official recommendation is that you may need to set a up to 10-degree delta for temperature, but if you have a glass bed as stock, a glass bed is going to be worse in conductivity. Glass bed is actually going to need more of an offset than this thin assembly of flex plate and whatnot. So I'm thinking in this case we're actually going to get a closer match of the thermistor that's mounted on the bottom of this PCB, or of this aluminum PCB, to what's actually happening on the top. So I'm thinking you could actually go lower with your surface temperature compared to the stock glass setup that the CR-10 comes with. So let me see if I can tighten this up. So the right side of these rollers are actually the adjustable ones, and these are pretty loose. Come on. These are like way loose. How far do you need to turn these? Okay, I'm running out of adjustability room here. Don't forget to smash that like, guys. Yeah, smash that like button. Destroy the like button. Am I enough of a YouTuber personality yet? Has this ever been tight? It doesn't look like I can actually adjust it far enough. Wow. Okay, let's try the front one. Vinyl wrap. Vinyl wrap. I don't know how well a PVC. So vinyl is PVC. I don't know how well a PVC is actually going to stick to the very. Oh, this one is super loose. Okay, crap. How well filaments are going to stick to PVC. Come on. Is that a 330 square millimeter plate? Yeah, it's 310. 310. Is it up to temperature yet? 49. Okay. How can I tilt this? I guess like that. And here we go. In good old Tom's 3D live stream manner, we go pretty stupid in what we're doing on stream. So, I'm gonna move around here real quick. Adjust this camera while we're at it. Oh yeah, by the way, the drywall construction on the back, I just like to change up my studio look every now and then. Ow! Ow! That end stop is sharp. So, what are you guys seeing here? You guys are seeing something. That's fine. This one has come completely loose. You can see how much that is rocking around, I think. This one is a bit better, and this one is still tight. So actually we don't need the center one, we just need the two outside ones to be tight, and those are the ones that are not tight at all. So let's see, I shall grab a... I actually do have some tools here. Yeah. We need some bits, just need the hex bits. Hoping this is the right size. And the bed is still heating, so we're not really losing time here, we're just being efficient. CR-10 heated bed is super slow. It's never been fast. So, let me see, does this spin? Yes, it does. So we need a hex key. I'm hoping you guys are following along here, so just tightening up the screws and nuts that actually hold these eccentric washers, or eccentric pins in place. Oh yeah, that was way loose. There we go, there's one. I guess that should already have tightened it up a bit. And there's two. I know my hand is completely in the way, but it will be over soon. You know, that's just what you get when you find out your CR-10 is completely shot. Right before you start steaming. This might... Oh, bearings are still fine. And it's already a bit better. Let's see, you just turn this until it's getting tight. I guess we can move it back to the upright position now. Yes, and of course this has nothing to do with actually installing a flex plate, but you just kind of have to do it. So where's the... Oh, this feels good. Get out of here. Eh. Nope. These nuts, I think the original ones have a, so the open builds eccentric spaces have a marking on them to tell you which side is the tight side. These, I believe, do not have that marking. And I'm actually not... There we go. There we go. Ah, there we go. Much better. Okay. You guys probably saw nothing of that. So, cool. Done. We have the CR-10 bed tight again. The bed is hot. It's at 60 degrees. And now, of course, we're going to bring out the alcohol and scrub this. No, I'm just going to try to print directly on top of this. Something's still a bit loose, but it's much better than now. Won't it always drive on 4 wheels? Yes, it will. It's just they put 6 on there. It just needs the 2 front and 2 rear ones. That's good enough. Cool. So that should be good. I'm not going to be going over this with any sort of alcohol or rubbing steel wool. I just want to see whether this sticks as is. Film and Frenzies, thank you for the £9.99 super chat. Yeah, so far the print from a Steve. So far this flex plate, pretty good, pretty good. There are a few things that could use improvement, but it is definitely one that, you know, if the price is okay for you, one that is recommendable so far. So flat nut, that's what we're going to be printing. We do need a, oh yeah, actually, rip through, you're correct. It's just running on 3 wheels. That's all it needs to be fully constrained. Preheat PLA, so that preheats the hot end. 3 wheels make a plane, yes. Does my CR-10 have a level sensor? It does not have a level sensor, and yes, you're correct. I do need to adjust the seat height. I almost forgot about that. So yeah, because this thing is a bit slimmer than the original glass, it's going to be printing in air if I just try to lay down some filament right now. So how does this one adjust Z? Just with the how does this one adjust Z again? Really just by undoing this thing? No. I think I got that wrong the first time I tried the CR-10 as well. Guys, can you help me here? Is it literally just undo this thing and push it down a bit? Nah. No fine adjustment? I've not ever had to adjust the CR-10's Z height, so let's just see if we can. Oh no, hold on. I got it. This thing stays stays locked in place, and then you use the nuts. Yeah. Preheat PLA will turn off the bed? You are correct. God damn it, why would it do that? Usually I just start a print and be like, yeah, let's keep it going. Control temperature, bed 50 or something. It'll keep it hot. So let's grab some paper. Let's do some paper leveling. So because this thing is lower than the glass, I can just do auto home. No, it's in prepare. I swear, every version of Marlin or every custom version of Marlin has the auto home and preheat settings somewhere else. It's so confusing. So in theory, the nozzle should come down somewhere around there. PLA does not need a heated bed. Ooh. The thing is, yes, PLA does not theoretically need a heated bed, but printing PLA with a heated bed is so much nicer than printing without it. So yeah, if you have like a tiny boy or something, this guy, it's totally fine to print without a heated bed, but it's just, again, it's so much nicer to print with a heated bed. It's just like, yeah. Print a new install from Thingiverse that allows the switch to be adjusted. Oh yeah, of course. Now, I guess I should mention this CR-10 is 100% bone stock. I did still plan to review it at some point, but I'm kind of like, you know, this is like a 1-year-old machine. What's the point of reviewing it? Because they don't even ship them like that anymore. It's a completely different machine now. So I think I can start modding it, which is why I'm putting the flex blade on here. Usually when I do review a machine, I do want to have it bone stock. I want it as shipped and kind of be able to judge what you get out of the box, because I mean, any printer you can turn into anything you want. It's kind of like Ditto. It's, you know, I'll be whatever you want me to be, baby. So yeah, this one is 100% stock. There is nothing done to it. I've not changed the nozzle, hot end, electronics, nothing. Literally exactly as shipped from Creality, or Gearbest in this case. And if you want to get your own, the link is in the video description. That actually takes you to AliExpress, the official Creality store. Same with the Wham Bam Flex Build Plate. The Wham Bam Flex Build Plate is available from the Wham Bam online store. I should have pre-recorded this. I'm so bad at doing like the mock sales guy or sales pitch. How much is the bed? So this bed for this size on the CR-10, so the 310 by 310, is a $98 US plus shipping plus whatever. So reasonable. You can get it small, you can get it larger. I'm not sure where it actually ships from, whether it ships from China. I did get mine shipped from China, the review test sample. But it's a product designed in Florida by a Florida man. So yeah, 89 for this size. I think the smallest size, like 223 by 223, are around 69 or so. The 210 is like 50 something, and they also make it way smaller. I don't think I actually needed the paper for this. Random reboots? Oh yeah, random reboots are the worst. Printed anything other than PLA on this guy? I have printed PTG on this guy, but the heated bed on the CR-10 is so slow. Even getting it to a temperature where a 300 by 300 millimeter PTG part is going to stick is kind of a pain. So the only time I really bring out the CR-10 is when I need something large, and out of at most PTG if I'm feeling lucky. But usually for me this is a PLA only printer. So let's try doing this upside down print from SD. We do have the flat nut. I should probably load some filament. But yeah, since the CR-10 firmware does not have a load filament button, we'd have to do it manually anyways. And get in there. Oh. There we go. And I've actually taken off the spool mount from my CR-10, so okay, let's test the height. Looks pretty good. So we'll be bringing in the spool mount in a second. There we go. Whew. Is this actually a flex bed of a FL3X bed? I don't know what a FL3X bed is, so yeah. Have I ever used Wolfbite? I do have a few cans of Wolfbite of the various solutions here. I have not used it though, because the stuff with Wolfbite is it supposedly goes bad pretty quickly after opening it. So I've never felt like I wanted to you know, crack one of the cans open and then be able to use it for like one print and then have the thing spoil within what is it, 3 or 6 months or something. So I've not actually opened those. I'm keeping those for like that one special occasion. So there's still some clear filament in there, so you're not going to be seeing much. Oh well, there's the turquoise. So that's pretty good. It's pretty good. There. That's a pretty good first layer, I'd say. Maybe a bit too high up, so let's drop this a bit more. And you can only do so much with paper leveling. You really have to look at your first layer to get it perfect. But obviously I do like to print with a fatter and thicker, or wider and thicker first layer, so that if you have something like this where you're not leveling it perfectly, it's still going to stick. It might have some gaps in that first layer, but it's still going to give you good adhesion, which is exactly what we're seeing right here. So Quentin Campbell, does this lose its magnetism at 80 degrees Celsius? I do not know. Let's actually pull up the Wham Bam website here real quick. So first layer is looking good. Well, maybe we can go even a bit further down. Let's pull up the website here real quick. So Wham Bam flex plate. Well, that printed first layer. So what are they claiming? What reviewers are saying? Yes. So flexible build plate system. Hoping mic is still good. Yes. 310. So that's the one that we are using. $89 US. Is there any claim of temperature? Resists 130 degrees Celsius continuous use. So no, that's not the control key. This is the control key. Where are you? 130 degrees Celsius continuous use. So That's quite the bold claim. So 130 degrees for a magnet is, I think, pretty much the maximum you can do on any sort of magnet system reasonably right now. Give me that stickiness. So it should be good for ABS. If you crank it to 120, you might get a bit of overshoot on the inner core layer of a heated bed contraption. So if you get 120 on the outside, it might be 125 on the inside. So you do even still have a bit of headroom for those materials. That's in focus, isn't it? Actually turn it to manual focus. Yeah, I did just adjust it a bit further up. Over here. A bit further down, to be correct. I moved the bed up and smushed it down a bit more. There are some gaps. I'm going to try to adjust that in a second. What's the max temp of the Ender 3 bed? Pretty much, yeah, Ender 3 and CR-10 both have a pretty slow heated bed. Max temp I think was around 100. Oh yeah, this was too far up. Interesting. So let's see if this sticks. If this manages to stick down reliably, then I guess anything is going to stick, because this was printed pretty high up. Probably shouldn't have you guys on the camera I'm adjusting, because some people might get nauseous. There we go. 1, 2, drop this down. There we go. One man crew at it again. If I move this, maybe. There you go. Okay, so if this thing actually moves out of the way, you guys can see what the first layer looks like. But it's looking like it's going to stick down. So this is going to be a 30-minute print, and let me get my spool mount in here real quick. Where are you? There you are. There's my portable spool mount. Yeah. Oh, cool. Not on here is too large for the filament center. There we go. The max temp with the Ender 3 stock flex system. The Ender 3 does, at least mine, does not have a stock flex system. Actually, I have it right here. So the Ender 3 has a Build-Tech clone, so a polycarbonate sheet on a rigid aluminum plate. You cannot take this off, at least on mine. I don't know. They might still be shipping the Ender 3 and giving you a different product. But at least on the one that I got that is called the Ender 3, it does not have a flex plate. So first layer here is looking pretty good actually. So yeah. Coming to work in flip-flops now? I live here, dude. Person. I live here. It's just a flight of stairs down. Cool. So obviously what I don't know with the surface on the Wham Bam system, is whether PTG is going to be something that destroys it. And that is something that, let's do that. That is something that is a bit of an issue, well, PTG and flexibles. That's a bit of an issue with the PEI that you can get for other printers, and you get stock on the Prusa machines, where if you print PTG with not being careful enough, you will fuse it to the PEI and basically tear apart the PEI once you try to take it off. So yeah, that's something that we might need to try on this very bed, this PEX bed, which I still don't really know whether this is You know, I don't think this is PEX, actual PEX, as in cross-linked polyethylene. That would be weird because I don't think anything would be sticking to it. Stream down? What? Stream is happy. So yeah, that's something to try, as well as flexibles. Flexibles are just kind of a pain to get off of many materials. So yeah. Yeah, then that is perfect for showing off that logo in the center there. You guys know exactly which one I'm testing. So you can get like cheap flex plate systems off of, for example, AliExpress as well. And I've actually not looked into this. So let me Google that real quick. Flex bed. New to AliExpress. Get out of here. So what's like a comparable solution here? 300 millimeters squared, 300 by 200. What is that? Does that have a magnetic bed? Heat bed sticker paper. Oh yeah, that's just a sticker. Funser. 400, 400. AB. Okay, so that actually... That's interesting. So, here we go. I just looked that up. So 30 bucks with shipping to Germany. If you, I should probably do that. If you get a 400 by 400 from a Chinese store with 96% positive feedback, 80 degrees. Yeah, so this does have the 80 degrees max temperature. So this is like the fridge magnet stuff. AB, and it doesn't look like this actually has a... Oh yeah, it must have a steel core, sure, because it wouldn't be magnetic otherwise. So kind of like a similar concept, does have some 3M sticky tape. Yeah, so that's a 400 by 400, so that is quite a bit cheaper than what you get with the Wham Bam system here. But again, as with most of the AliExpress specials, you kind of can't be sure of what exactly you get every time. Like, it might be a different mag base, it might be a different sticker type, it might be a different flex sheet afterwards. I guess you are kind of paying to have a brand name either way, whether it's Wham Bam, which you might not even have known yet, or any other kind of brand name where you know you're gonna get something repeatable. Cool. John is saying the cheap one off of AliExpress doesn't behave like PEI. Well, it's probably because it's polycarbonate. All the build plate stickers that you can get from AliExpress are polycarbonate with a texture to them. So it's, yeah, it doesn't behave like PEI. It's just natural. 2 magnetic sheets with build tech on the top half. Okay. Do I recommend to buy i3 of Triangle Labs? Well, Triangle Labs aren't those the guys that do like all the E3D knockoffs with I don't know, I've not tried them yet. They might be awesome. I've not tried them, so can't really comment on whether you should buy Triangle Labs or not. Let's see, what about an automatic level system on a magnetic bed? Let's answer that again real quick. So because this system is very similar to what's being used on the Prusa, with the stickered beds. By the way, Prusa, it's kind of torn up. So by the way, Prusa has this nice grid on it, which I do like. I do like having this grid, even though it's like I would have liked to have a center on there. This one does have kind of that center cross as well. You can see these lines going along here. But yeah, that's just details. Does it work with an inductive sensor? Yes, it does. In fact, it works really, really well because it's actual steel. It's going to work really well with an inductive sensor. It's also going to work with pretty much any other bed leveling sensor that you could use. It's going to work with optical, capacitive, mechanical. It's going to work with pretty much anything. How much is the Buildtech system? Oh yeah, right. The Buildtech also makes a flex plate system. Let me look that up real quick. flex plate, whatever. 3D Jake, let's check that out. So, Build-Tech flex plate system, so that's 114. Let me check the comparable size. That's 179.99 euros. That is including tax plus shipping. So, Build-Tech is quite a bit more expensive. It's way more than twice as expensive as the Wham Bam system. So yeah, I'm not sure how much more you're getting with Build-Tech. Let me see. It's basically, yeah. That's what I think is controlled here. So, zoom. Can I zoom here? Please? Okay, I can't zoom in here, but it looks like you're getting, this is the Build-Tech stuff, you're getting the magnetic base, you're getting a flex steel sheet, and you're getting a Build-Tech sticker, and there's some cutouts so you can pry this off. Looks like a very similar system, very similar layer stack, but it's a ton more expensive. So yeah. No induction problems with magnetic stuff? No, because magnets, as long as they're static magnets, or permanent magnets, they do not interfere with an inductive sensor. The inductive sensor is actually a pulsating magnetic field, and unless you're using like MRI level magnets. With magnets this strength, it does not interfere with inductive sensors at all. Why does it look like it's lifting? It is in fact not lifting. It's perfect. It might be because okay, two things going on here. First of all, the top layer here is clear, so the PEI, whereas on, I should just leave this here, whereas on a Prusa sheet, the PEI is kind of yellowish. So what would this stuff be if it's clear? Is it polycarbonate? I don't know, man. The Prusa stuff is kind of yellowish and semi-opaque. This PEX top coating is totally clear, so this thing is going to look like it's floating. It's going to look like it's kind of lifting up off the surface by, well, I guess the thickness of the adhesive and the thickness of the clear sheet on top. So that's one. The other thing is this part we are printing has a thread in the center. So it literally has a printed thread in the center here, so that does have a pretty steep overhang. It's not going to be lifting in the center. I mean, that's not how contraction works on these. But yeah, this is so far pretty well stuck down. It is not lifting at all. There we go. It's not twice the cost. Well, it is. Wham Bam system is $89 for this one, and the Build-Tech flex plate system is 179 euros. So that is pretty much exactly twice if you convert dollars to euros 1-to-1. But considering dollar prices are usually plus tax, this one is including tax. It comes down to pretty much the same pricing. John Jones, yeah. Thank you for the compliment. Yes, but this is actually live. People keep kind of pointing out, oh yeah, this is pre-produced. It's just totally edited and faked. No, very much live. It's just like, about 10 grand worth of equipment for live streaming. So yeah, it does take some effort to do it as a one-man show. Anyways, yes, this is on a Ruby thread, not lift. Yeah, this is a nut. Tom, definitely. This is a scaled down version. Now we're getting to info. This is a scaled down version of what I was using for the ERV, for the energy recovery ventilation unit that I put into this room. This is a basement room. You might. I'm putting the camera smartly in a way where you cannot see the ceilings, but the ceilings are pretty low here, and this is a closed off basement room. There's no ventilation. When I'm printing it here, there's no airflow. So I put in an ERV, and these are the nuts that I'm using for the printed. Through wall kind of sleeve. So I drilled a hole into the outer wall, I put in a printed sleeve and then locked it in place with this nut. A bit larger than this one. But yeah, that's a printed part that is actually doing a really good job right now. So that does have a thread on the inside, printed M100 thread in the original part. Works beautifully, and it's just, without any adjustment even. Works really well, loving it, would do it again, 10 out of 10, would recommend. Yeah, so rip through, good point. Watching this print makes me appreciate the 0.8mm nozzle I have in at the moment even more. Yeah, I don't know why Creality decided to ship the CR-10 and even the larger CR-10s with, you know, up to 500mm by 500mm of a build plate size. Why they shipped it with the 0.4mm nozzle? It just doesn't make sense. Like whenever I bring out the CR-10, you know, the CR-10 is slow whatever you do because it's kind of large, it's heavy, it accelerates slowly, so prints are going to take a bit longer. So the thing is that this print is always going to be printing large prints for me. When I print something small, I'm going to be using a different printer. So the only times I use the CR-10 is when my print, when my prints are actually going to take days, where it's going to be 2, 3, or 4 day prints on the CR-10. That's the time when I bring it out. So yeah, a 0.8mm nozzle would definitely have helped. Just having it by default, I think I'm still going to put in a different nozzle because that's, well yeah. It just makes total sense on these large machines. Banksy is asking, do I get a lot of resonances on their printer? The thing is, the CR-10 is tuned out of factory to be, you can actually see it right now, how slowly everything is just getting up to speed. It has really low accelerations by default, and that is very, very good for this machine. So any sort of movement is getting damped by the large weight of the bed, by the long belt length. So resonances really aren't an issue, especially with the low accelerations, where it's just super smoothly ramping up to speed and then ramping back down. Of course, again, that does increase print time by a lot. The bubble seems to move. Which one? Which bubble? Which bubble? I guess that perspective doesn't really show. Which bubble? This larger one? I guess. In relation to the bed? It might be, yeah. It might be the way these cameras are set up. The 0.8 is poor quality, you should know. Well, yeah, of course, you get coarser layers, but, you know, at scale, whatever. You don't care about coarser layers. In relation to the size of your print, you're not going to be worrying about, you know, whether you're printing at 0.15 or 0.3mm layer heights. Come on. What settings would I change going from 0.4 to 0.8? The thing is, so, okay, here's the one thing that most people underestimate when going to a larger nozzle is that you are going to not just, well, you're not going to need a stronger heater usually, but you will need an extruder and a grippier gear and possibly even a stronger stepper driver and stepper motor to push the amount of filament into the hot end. It's not going to be easier to push, you know, let's say twice, no, it doesn't scale that way, 4 times the amount of filament into a larger nozzle than it takes to push 1/4 of that into a 0.4. So you will need much more driving force on the filament and a much more reliable extruder to actually push a larger nozzle reliably. So that's, I think, the one recommendation I would give if you're upgrading your nozzle. Don't go too crazy on it, or you're not really gonna be. Is it normal that it's burning? You guys are throwing me off here. You're not going to be getting the full advantage of the larger nozzle if you don't also have an extruder that can push a reasonable amount of material for that nozzle. Asian Flame, no, the print is not warping. It is still perfectly flat. I was almost going to grab the ethanol bottle there and take a sip, but I'd rather go with the water. Yeah, and if you go really crazy on nozzle heights, you can actually get some very nice looking prints. Let me see if I can find one that was printed with like 1mm, roughly 1mm nozzle or layer heights. I don't have one around here, so I probably have that in a box somewhere. But yeah, it's its own aesthetic. It looks pretty fascinating if you have a large print that you print with a large nozzle and large layer heights. It's nice. Is the part cooling fan not on? Yeah, it's off. It's off. It is totally off, but for this print it doesn't matter. I think that's a... Is that a problem with my slicing profile? It's probably a problem with my slicing profile, but again, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I can turn it on. Where is my control? Is that... It's in tune. Fan speed, 0. Nope, nope, nope. Ah, there we go. Fan speed, let's turn that on. Boop. I guess for test... Ah, it's gonna have to work through the buffer, right? There we go. I guess for testing adhesion, having the fan on would have kind of mattered, but whatever. Print isn't warping? Yeah, the print is not warping. Again, I explained why it looks like it's warping, but it is not. Still pretty noisy. Once you're used to like trinamic systems, it's quite fascinating to actually hear a loud printer, especially on these thin IKEA tables. This is an IKEA tabletop desk thing. This is quite light and hollow, so it does resonate quite a bit. Will it be at Bay Area Maker Faire? I do not have any plans to be at Bay Area Maker Faire this year, but I will be at MRF. Thanks for asking, guys. Yeah, MRF is, I think, it is kind of like, if I'm going to be choosing to be at one event this year, it's definitely going to be MRF, because that thing is just so nice. It's just such a cozy get-together. It's not a sale pitch from anyone. It's just people wanting to hang out and nerd out for 2.5 days. It's great. Animation Creations likes the sound of a 3D printer. Yeah, I've thought about just having a bunch of videos, just 3D printers doing their thing. No time lapses, just that perspective maybe, or that perspective, or whatever, and then having the small inset piece on the corner, and just uploading the whole thing with audio, because you do get lost in it. If you do stare into a 3D printer, eventually the 3D printer stares back at you. But the thing is, you do also learn so much about how these machines... I just turned it off again. How these machines work and what print settings do what, just by looking at how the filament and how the print reacts to certain moves and to certain features. You do learn a lot about, how to set up a slicing profile, for example, and how these machines work. So, yeah, maybe that's going to be another channel I put up. Just 3D printers doing their thing. Maybe make a fair canvas. I'll look into that. Andre S wishes Wham Bam would create custom sizes for the bed. So the thing is, I actually don't know how these steel sheets are made, what the process is used to produce these out of a spring steel or steel sheet. I don't know when they are hardened or whatever, but it feels like these are stamped, because it does have, I don't know, are they stamped? Are they lasered? I don't know how they're cut out. It could definitely, so if it's a stamped size, then for sure it's made for scale, and you can't easily produce another size of the spring steel sheet. But I think there should be some process that allows them to cut out like custom spring steel sizes, and the other two are pretty easy to trim down anyways. Do you have any recommendations for getting prints to stick 3D Maker Kit? I actually have an entire video on that topic, where I go through what you can do to clean your surfaces, what you can use as print toppings, which surfaces work for what. So yeah, check that out. I do have a bunch of tips in there. What is MRF? MRRF. Supposedly it's pronounced MRF. Dennis is saying Wham Bam is nice, but the shipping to Belgium will cost $21.73. It's probably also going to cost the imports tax. Don't forget that if it's shipped from outside the European Union to buyers within the European Union, it will cost your local value-added tax and import fees, plus whatever. So it's yeah, those $89 will kind of add up if you're buying from outside the US. Rip through, good point. Custom spring sheets using just a hand guillotine. Yes, so that is also something you can do. This one is definitely not made on any sort of guillotine. There's another word for that, right? Because if you look at it, it has these tabs on the front, for example. This is something that you can absolutely not cut on just a shear, metal shears, that's the word. On something that you can slice a straight line. It also has rounded edges, so it's a bit more than just something that cuts a straight line. So making a custom size with the same process this one is made, it's probably not going to be that easy. But I'm sure it would be possible to do a custom size somehow. Or just trimming down these beds to a smaller size with some sort of shears or a guillotine or anything like that. I think that should also work pretty easily. What are my thoughts on the Ender 5? I've not tried it. I don't have any thoughts on it. Sorry. What color filament is that? That is a good point. This is the Atom 3D teal, turquoise. Don't make it anymore, unfortunately, but some other manufacturers make it. It's about, it's a bit greener than my shirt. So it's, yeah, it's turquoise, green. Some people will call it blue. I think this stuff is green. It looks a bit bluer on stream just because of the color, well, color correction and LUT I use for this setup. But yeah, it's like a greenish bluish color, so pretty nice. Was this sponsored? No, this was not sponsored, or I would have disclosed that. As with any other video, if it is sponsored, it says in the description, and I also mention it as pretty much one of the first things I have in the video. One of the first things I say in the video is going to be, this is sponsored by. This is not sponsored by them. They did provide this sample for free, as are pretty much all the products I check out. If it's a commercial product, I may also ask for a review sample. So this was provided to me for free, but there was no payment for this video, this unboxing, this review, I guess, live review. Yeah, and the link is also not an affiliate link. And I do also not have a discount code, sorry. What percent are we now? This is the last layer, I think. Let me see, there was one good question. What's my favorite filament brand? I do like Dust Filaments though. They're local to me. That they make good PLA. They're not that expensive. They make nice colors, and they are gonna have one extra nice color pretty soon. I think in 2 weeks or so we're gonna have the next Tom's 3D color up. But use whatever filament you're comfortable with. Again, PLAs are pretty much all the same by now, and they're all pretty good. Does this fit the CR-10S TrueTech? That was the one question I was still going to get to. So the Wham Bam system, again, so this is the 310 by 310 size. They also make small ones for like 165. They make 210. They make 235. They make this 310. They make a 410 and a 510, and the 510 should fit the CR-10S5, which is the 500mm version. So yeah, definitely going to fit those larger printers as well. Is there a European Union seller for this? There is not at the moment, as far as I'm aware. Let's catch up here real quick. Brank R&D, thank you for the $10 through Super Chat. Yes, educational content, still, you know, one of my favorite topics to do, because it just, yeah, it helps. At least that's what I'm thinking. It helps a lot of people at once. Pesman, also thank you for the $10 to Super Chat. Great question. How accurate can photogrammetry get? Do you recommend any software for this? My goal is to try and create 3D models accurate for tight tolerances and use. Okay, excellent question. And I guess we still have a few seconds on this print. Let's answer this real quick. So, photogrammetry, how accurate can it get? First of all, photogrammetry, for those of you watching, we did talk about these things in the recent Melton podcast, so if you want the long form for this, check that out. And Stefan's thoughts on this are very good as well. Photogrammetry, you take a camera, you take a bunch of photos of an object, you plop it into a software, and the software calculates where those photos were taken from and then matches textures on that object and creates a 3D model from that. Photogrammetry so far, even with a good lens for me, has never been much more accurate than 1 millimeter or so. If you have a macro lens, if you zoom in, if you do it under a microscope, it might get better, but it's usually going to be very object dependent. How can you, do I recommend any software for this? I don't know the name of the software right now, but I do have an interview coming up with a guy that I talked to at Make Munich that is making, or has designed, a 3D printed camera mount object rotating thing for photogrammetry. He mentions what software he likes to use, and I think he's the guy to ask about that. That's going to be in the interview video from Make Munich, so stay tuned for that. That's going to be coming out in a few days. To create 3D models accurate for tight tolerance and use. And that's, I guess, the last thing. If you want something that has tight tolerances and is actually like a usable 3D clone of something, 3D copy, use structured light. The Einscan that I'm using, I'm still fascinated by, or that I have, the Einscan, the cheaper one. SE? Yeah, that's it, the cheaper one. Uses structured light and gets you extremely accurate, extremely high resolution parts that are very, very good. Very good for just using as a straight copy. Okay, hope that answered that. Again, if you want to check out more of that, have a listen to the current Meltzone episode. We talk about that in detail. Mushroom, yes. I think that's the one he was using as well. But there are some open source versions. Print is done. Cool. Right. So this is still pretty darn hot. 59. So I'm gonna try to remove this somehow. Oh yeah, this is unlocked. Cool. Does this actually do the same thing the Prushas do, where you hold this and you... Nope. That's a Prusha feature. On the Prusha machines, you hold the knob and you can actually move the Z-axis. Very, very helpful feature. Again, it's one of the points I made in my Prusa Mark III video. I wish every manufacturer would just start copying the Prusa Mark III in every regard, because features are really nice. So, we can pop this off. Oh yeah, it is still hot. It is in fact hot, yes. Whew. And because it's metal, it does conduct heat into your skin pretty well. This, we let that cool down so we don't get a clog before we turn it off. Let's see, how large is this print? This is about 10 millimeters large. The original one is quite a bit larger, so it does still stick after removing it. It does still stick on the surface pretty well. Okay, and there we go. That's off. So obviously this first layer was still a bit of a tuning experience, autofocus tuning experience. So you do get a fully glossy surface on this. Come on, there. Do get a fully glossy surface on this. You can see the nozzle was a bit too high up on that. Some people don't like the glossy. Oh yeah, it did actually lift on the corner a bit there, but that might just be because it's was too high. But it's not much. So again, this was without doing the recommended sanding and scuffing and cleaning procedure that the Wham Bam guys recommend. But yeah, overall it's stuck down. It's a pretty large part. Of course, the bigger challenge is going to be printing a larger part that is thicker as well. So I chose this part because it's kind of like the minimum, the quickest size I can demonstrate. And of course on the live stream we are time limited kind of. It's kind of the largest part I can use to demonstrate that something could warp. And especially if this was on a surface that didn't stick well, then yeah, this would have peeled off much more than this, of course. So yeah, it is quite shiny on the bottom. It's almost like a glass shine. So yeah, you can see the bottom two corners have a bit of an edge there, so they did start coming up. Again, I think we can definitely get rid of that with first of all going a bit lower on the first layer and also scuffing this up. So my thoughts on the Wham Bam flex build system. Very nice. The price is of course something that you have to, well, oh, see, we're already getting dense here. Did it have some dust underneath here? The price of course with $89 plus shipping, tax, whatever, where you are, depending on of course where in the world you order these from, that's something you're gonna have to factor in. And other solutions might be way cheaper, others might be something that you may have had some experience with, for example, the build tag system. That's something that's already out there. Looking at the prices that it would cost me here in Germany to buy this versus the flex plate, the flex plate from build tag is probably around twice as much, of course. This one would still get shipping and tax added to it if I ordered it from Wham Bam Systems. Wham Bam, what's it called? Wham Bam. The Wham Bam Corporation. So that does kind of level it out. It's not going to be a super cheap system, so it's probably, if you put this on an Ender 8 or an Ender 3, it's probably a pretty premium upgrade. You pay about as much for this set than you pay for the printer, plus, you know, a few bits on there. Yeah. Still to test is the following: whether, you know, we get a bit more adhesion with you know, a lower first layer, which I definitely think is going to happen with scuffing this up, and whether or not flexible materials will bond to this, and whether PTG will bond to this. I'm sure it's going to stick because it feels a lot like PEI or even a polycarbonate. I can't really, I don't know, it's hard to feel a polymer based on, or to tell a polymer based on what it feels like. That's going to have to be something to test out still. Would I recommend this over a Chinese AliExpress MK52 Prusa i3 Mark III knockoff bed? The thing is, you can't put the Mark 52 on, well, on any printer. I do actually have one of those because I do have some plans for building a new dolly. And the knockoff bed is actually, it's quite good. It has really strong magnets in there. It has the same sort of flex steel plate in there. But of course, it's just at one size. This stuff is something you can put on any printer that you already have. You don't have to build your printer around that Mark 52 bed. Fuzzy hair sweater. Interesting. And yeah, so this is more of an upgrade solution for the printer you already have. In this case, for the CR-10, fits really well. Seems to hold down really well. Again, the claim for the magnet base is it stands up to 130 degrees Celsius, which I can't verify on this machine because it's never going to reach that temperature. So I think it should be fine for this. And if it does stand up to the claim, then definitely it's going to work for a pretty universal, pretty much any setup out there. It's going to be very universal. Now, one thing also about the Mark 52 beds is those magnets. I'm also not sure how hot they can get before they lose their magnetism. But it's kind of the same as with using a, you know, Chinese no-name magnet base. Those, I mean, some of those actually claim they can go up to 80 degrees, and that's the maximum. And they wouldn't take them any further than that, for sure. So you're really going to be limited to PLA and PTG, which I don't think is that much of a deal these days, but just keep that in mind. This one supposedly does go all the way to, well, not to those crazy temperatures a mortar bed can do, but definitely to what a regular 3D printer heated bed can do. It's going to stand up to those temperatures. Cool. Oh, elbow close-up. That's what you're thinking. Here in the, you want it in large scale, you turned on by that? Yeah. Sure you are. Cool. So, yeah. What happened to the Service Reborn? That was a bit too flimsy. I still have it, but it's, I think I would rather get the Middle 9000 going. So, yes. Sweater lifted, tested high temperature. Yes, high temperature. Da, da, da. Anything else in chat? I don't think so. I think we've covered this thing pretty well. Did the magnet bed actually get dented? Yes, I think it did. I'm not sure where from though, so I'm also not sure if the camera can actually see that, but there is a bit of a dent here. I might have caught some filament dust in that spot. There, you can see that right there. So there's a bit of a dent in there. Don't think it's going to be an issue for use though. So anything that gets trapped between the steel sheet and this bed is going to eventually dent it. But yeah, it's probably going to be better than if it just popped up underneath and kind of got your entire bed out of level. Just going to embed itself. It's good. It's good. Cool. If you lose magnetism, can't you go back to binder clips? That's a good point to end it on. And no, you cannot, because this thing is, you can kind of see how this is bowed by default. So if you just clamp it down on the sides, it's not going to be flat. This sort of bed really needs an entire magnet base on the bottom to really pull itself flat. And this thing could be bent, this thing could be bowed, whatever, in whatever way. As long as the bed is flat, that's the surface it's going to conform to. So if you have a flat bed, if you have an aluminum base, like this, or if you have a thick PCB base that you're sure is going to be very flat to start with, then you can use a system like this. But if you're just using a flimsy PCB like I'm using on the dolly, this has just a really, really thin aluminum PCB, which is bowed like crazy. This is not going to work. You're going to have to use an intermediary aluminum layer between that. So, okay. I guess that wraps it up for this one. As always, guys, thank you for watching. I could go on answering questions in chat all day, but my throat is already kind of worked up from being at Make Munich yesterday. Again, those videos are going to be coming out next week, including answering questions about photogrammetry. I did get to try out the shaper, the Origin shaper. Holy crap, that thing blew my mind. It's just, it's expensive, yes, but stay tuned for the video. Don't look it up yet. Watch the video. That thing is amazing. But yes, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. And I do have a button to end it all. Start. That's my end button. Thanks for being here. What do? Get subscribed, check out Patreon, YouTube memberships, check out the podcast I'm doing with Stefan, the Meltzone podcast, ad-free so far. We do talk about photogrammetry and 3D printing. We have 10 episodes ready to go for you right now to watch and to listen to. What else? Forums for discussing stuff, forums.tomstudio.org. Do I have that in? I should put this in the sidebar. And yeah, if you guys are immersed, see you there. Otherwise, stay tuned for the next videos. Bye.